let's talk about some games, and kick it off with the most, I guess, the game that everyone's talking about right now called Palworld. It's available on PC, Steam in early access, as well as on Xbox consoles. It's actually part of Xbox Game Pass, and it's in early access. So basically, it's currently the most played game on PC and Xbox. And by most played, we're talking about records being broken. I posted a story just a couple of days ago, and that's already redundant. So it's already like out of date. So now Palworld, in terms of all-time peak players. So on Steam, you've got like obviously millions of people play games, right? But there's Steam tracks how many players are playing a game at any given moment. So Palworld has just passed a record. It's surpassed Counter-Strike 2. It's now the number 2 most played game on Steam of all time in terms of peak players. It's behind PUBG now. So it's the second most played game. As we speak, Palworld right now is the most played game on Steam. There's over 1 million people playing the game right now as we speak, which is more than double the Counter-Strike 2 player count.
That's impressive.
So this is unprecedented. Now, you might be saying, like, why this game? How this game? Is it just viral? And part of it is that it's viral. But because the hook here is that Palworld is a survival action RPG, action adventure, and survival game with crafting and, like Ark survival type mechanics where you build bases and stuff. But the world has pals to collect. They're called pals. And they're basically monsters that look like Pokemon. They look very much like Pokemon.
Yeah.
But they also can be equipped with guns. So you can see a screenshot and it's like, it's like a Pokemon with like a massive tank machine gun and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the selling point. But why it's getting a lot of immediate attention, but also as well the fact that it's like a Pokemon style game for PC. And Pokemon is big business, but it's relegated to the Switch and Nintendo stuff. Like it doesn't cross over into any other platform really. So there's a lot of... So obviously, yes, the game is fun. So like apparently Palworld nails the mechanics of like going out to collect pals, taking them back to your base, using them to defend or to build or to do farming or, to go out and then you take them out to battle. Just like in Pokemon, you collect more. There's over 100 to collect. It's a huge world. So, and it can have servers of up to like 30 players. So it's kind of like Ark or another survival game where you can have like your own instanced world with friends and, build and collect, etc., but it's in early access, so it's incomplete. But like, yeah, like the popularity of this is insane. Like, it's, 2023's big games, Baldur's Gate and Hogwarts Legacy, like 2 big games. Like this is leaving them in the dust.
So talk to me about the controversy, because I saw some headlines yesterday. I think they were from Games Radar, some other publications. Is Nintendo suing this company or what?
No. So what happened is that immediately the game it's basically been out for a week or just under a week.
Yeah.
So what somebody has done is mod the game and put the mod online that replaces in-game models with actual Pokemon.
Oh.
And like the transition isn't even that big of a stretch, right? Because the game looks like Pokemon.
Oh, that guy
because it looks like Pokemon, it
violence.
doesn't mean that it's infringing on copyright. But Nintendo has issued a takedown request for that mod, so it's now offline.
Okay.
And so there's people that are speculating, and this is pure speculation, that Nintendo is going to try and legally get this game removed. But this is not just like an unknown Steam. This is also on Xbox, right? And it has to go through Microsoft certification to get on Xbox, and console is a different level. Like, PC games, can be like rip-offs, like, cheap, like, there's certain games on Steam and like that you won't find on consoles, generally speaking. But this is where the controversy is a little bit weird is that like none of this is substantiated. So there's a feeling out there or a consensus that Palworld uses AI. That the way that the team generated models for their pals, which are the stand-in for Pokemon, is by using generative AI to change the art of existing Pokemon and to create their equivalent versions. Now, either they did that or the developers knowingly took Pokemon models and just changed things around to make them look like, to change them enough so they're different. So they're different to Pokemon.
Yeah, so they're different visually, but you know they were using the Pokemon assets. Is that kind?
But there's no evidence of this.
Yeah,
there's no evidence that the game uses AI or the developers used AI. As we're recording this, there is no evidence of that. Like if that changes, we'll update this. We'll talk about it again.
Yeah, for sure.
But there is just so it's clear, like there's no evidence that Palworld is using AI to create content or its art. There's no evidence that that they have ripped off Nintendo models or things wholesale either. So the reason why a lot of people are upset is because of this. From what I can see, there's a percentage of people that are upset because of the popularity of the game. There are Nintendo fans, fanboys, like the hardcore. They're upset that this game is supposedly ripping off Pokemon, and yeah, sure, it's inspired by and it's monsters with guns, but it's also a survival game. It's like we're talking about the AI thing. Like if you take something and you make it different, like it is its own new thing.
Yeah.
So now they're vocal, right? They're siding with Nintendo. They want to see Nintendo sue the developers, this indie studio, for this game. They want to see it taken down, and these are just people that have no stake in the game. They don't work for Nintendo, so like it's like why do you even care, right?
Yeah.
And then there are like certain developers who are saying that, we think like, they're like, this is suspect, like, like how did they make this game with like 100 different creatures? So like, with such a small team, like maybe they're using AI. This is just speculation. And so like, because a game developer said that, people just assume that that's fact now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's getting blown out of proportion. But the real story is just the popularity of this thing. The thing is like Palworld is huge, right? Like we'll know like in a month or two whether it has the legs to sustain it. But like you're talking at a game that's not free to play either. So it's like $30 US or whatever the case is. This indie studio sold like 5-6 million copies now or whatever it is in a week, right? So this is like one of the biggest selling games. It's probably going to be one of the biggest selling games of the year.
Oh, for sure. It reminds me of when PUBG came out.
Yeah, and like what's weird is that like, yeah, exactly. Like the thing is like, yeah, like it hasn't hit. That's right. Like that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, wow, I remember when PUBG came out, like it's just everybody was playing it. It's all
Did you play H1Z1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was golden.
That was...
These games are...
Wasn't that a mod of...
Yeah, for Armor 3.
Yeah, I think
it was.
It?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
It was like Armor 3 that had like all these mods that were just like created like a whole new genre.
Yeah. And then Player Unknown saw that and created Player Unknown's Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
And then Epic Games saw PUBG and created Fortnite.
Yeah.
And then we got Apex Legends, so on, so forth.
Yeah, this Palworld, like the thing is like the survival genre is always been popular on PC, right? If you remember like Valheim, when that dropped during the lockdown, right? That was huge for a while. And that hit some pretty high numbers too. But and not at this level.
This is big.
This is like insane, right? So like it's broken the records for like the only game that people have that has been more popular historically on Steam is PUBG, right? So this is more popular than this is like broken records set by Counter-Strike 2, Lost Ark, Dota 2, Cyberpunk, Elden Ring, Hogwarts Legacy, Baldur's Gate 3, Apex Legends, Valheim, Call of Duty. Like this is
just Steam though. Like
this has just come out.
What do we think it's doing on Games Pass?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass on PC too.
Yeah.
And according to Game Pass, see, Xbox don't release numbers, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the most played games on Xbox and Xbox Game Pass on PC, Palworld is up there.
It would have to be.
It's like it's the most played game. Yeah.
It'd have to be.
It has to be because it's all, yeah. So like, yeah, it's not even exclusive to Steam either. So it's doing gangbusters.
I would probably put it, and this is complete speculation. I've got no data to back up on this. I would say anywhere between 500,000 and 1 million more players on Xbox, on Game Pass.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And that is a big
bare minimum,
jump. But you got to try and you can't go too far. Like I don't think there's more people playing on Game Pass than there is on Steam, but I could be wrong.
No,
I could be wrong.
I don't think so.
So we're actually looking at almost close to 2 million
peak players. Yeah, and that was within the last 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
So like it hasn't tapered off yet. Like it's rising. It's now like averaging like 1 million players at any point in a 24-hour period.
That's incredible.
Because the peak concurrent player count on Steam is interesting because like, a game might sell like 20 million copies, right? Or 10 million copies, let's say, on PC.
Yeah.
And its peak players will be like, 500,000, which means that it's a smash hit, right? Or 400,000, 300,000. And that's because like, if you think about a game, right? Like you got every country in the world, you got millions of people players. Nobody's playing the game at the same time all the time, if you know what I mean. So like Palworld, this also means that people are hooked on the game, right? That the gameplay loop is
good.
What is one of the big reasons, right? So like, like you might play a game for like an hour, and with that, peak player counts will just be lower by if the average play time is an hour as well. So like if you're talking about like a huge peak player count, that also means that people are playing the game for longer in a particular session to be able to get that many players concurrently as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's almost like a proof that the game is fun in a way, that there's enough about the game to hook players for a long time.
I would agree with that. I would agree. All of this talk's making me want to buy it. I want to see what it looks like.